Today we're going to show you how to use our new Galaxy stencil available from Artfully Designed Creations. We're starting with cookies that have already been outlined and flooded in a pastel purple and then allowed to dry. We're using our Artfully Designed airbrush and a Mist airbrush color in black. We're drawing a spiral pattern beginning in the center of the cookie and working out to the edges. We're also shading the edges of our cookie with black to give the cookie dimension. Next, we're using a Mist airbrush color in royal blue. We're using it to spray and blend over some of the areas that already have black. The last color we're adding to the background of our cookies is a Mist airbrush color in violet. We're using it to color in the last few areas on the cookie and also blend and spray over the areas that have blue and black, so that all of the colors come together. At this point, you have the beginnings of our beautiful galaxy background. We're ready to start using our stencil. This is the first piece from the set that we'll be using. Our favorite white airbrush color is a 50-50 mix of the Americolor Bright White Gel color and the Mist Bright White Airbrush color. Mixing the two together thins the bright white gel enough that your airbrush will be able to spray, but the color still gives good coverage. We're creating the stars on our cookies with the stencil. We're aiming directly for the center of the star cutout. Next, we're using the irregular edge around the outside of the stencil to really give the cookies that galaxy look. Spray a few of these areas across the cookie, allowing them to overlap and cross one another. At this point, we've added some black magic disco dust to our cookies to give it some sparkle. Next, we need to create some royal icing transfers to use as planets. We've created these by dropping dots of 20-second flood frosting onto wax paper and then allowed them to dry. Now we're adding airbrush shading on one side to create that 3D dimension. This is the next piece in our stencil set that we'll be using to create the planet. We're beginning with cookies that have already been outlined and flooded in a pastel yellow and then allowed to dry. We're using our Artfully Designed airbrush and a Mist airbrush color in orange. We've aligned our stencil across the top of our cookie and then weighted it in each corner with magnets. We're spraying along the cutouts of the stencil almost as if we're outlining those areas. This is the second piece of our planet stencil. It will line up exactly with the pattern that we've already sprayed on the cookie. We've lined up the pattern in the stencils and then weighted the stencil with magnets. We're using a Mist airbrush color in red. Again, spraying for the cutouts, almost as if we're outlining. I wanted to go back and add some red to the circular cutout in the first stencil we used, so I'm realigning the pattern and spraying the Airbrushed airbrush color in red just through this small area of the stencil. Now that we're done using all of the stencils, we're going to do some freehand airbrushing. I'm still using the Airbrushed airbrush color in red, and I'm going back over to blend some of the lines created by the stencil. This helps soften the image and brings the whole design together. We're also going to use the red to shade around the edge of the cookie. This helps blend the stencil on and off the cookie, as well as give it some 3D dimension. Now we're using Airbrushed airbrush color in yellow. We're blending over the red and orange. Overlapping these colors makes them more vibrant. We're going back with our Airbrushed airbrush color in red to shade and darken some of the areas of the design. Again, this is just freehand airbrushing, and you can add as much or as little as you like. For our final touches, we've glued on our royal icing transfer planets and dropped small dots of white flood frosting in the center of our stars and randomly across the galaxy background.